Good evening, dear one, and welcome. You have found your way here to Anchored in Grace, and I am glad you came. However this day has treated you, it is finished now. The hours are behind you. Whatever you carried through them, you may set it down at the edge of this bed. It will keep. It will still be there in the morning, and in the morning you will be stronger. Tonight we are going to walk very slowly through one of the oldest and gentlest songs ever written. 6 short lines, a shepherd's psalm, Psalm 23. You have heard it before. Perhaps you heard it at a graveside. Perhaps you heard it as a child, in a room with a window and a curtain moving. Tonight, you will hear it differently, not as words on a page, but as a hillside, as a stone wall in the dark, as a man lying down across a doorway with his back against the cold rock, awake, so that the small and frightened things behind him can finally close their eyes. Before we begin, let your body settle. Let your shoulders come down away from your ears. Let your jaw soften. Let your hands open, palms loose, holding nothing. And breathe. In, slowly. And out, slower still. Again, in and out. There is no hurry here. Nothing tonight is going to ask anything of you. We will move through 8 quiet parts. Each one will take a single line of the shepherd's song and hold it up to the light. We will read from the scriptures, slowly, and then we will simply rest in what we have read. There will be green pastures and still water, and a dark valley with high walls, and a table set in the open, and at the very end, a house you never have to leave. And here is what I want you to know before we take a single step. If you fall asleep before we reach the end, that is not a failure. That is the whole point. You are not here to finish something. You are here to be carried. Let go whenever you are ready. The shepherd will keep watch over the rest of it. He always does. Come. The sun is going down over the hills of Judea. Let us go and see where the sheep sleep. Part 1. The Shepherd Who Never Sleeps, Psalm 23, verse 1. Yahweh is my shepherd, I shall lack nothing. The light is leaving the hills. It goes slowly here, the way it does in dry country. The stone turns from white to gold, and then from gold to a soft rose, and then to gray. The heat lifts off the ground and rises past you, and the air begins to cool against your skin. Somewhere below, a bell. Small, tin, moving. The flock is coming home. They come in a loose brown river up the slope, moving toward a low ring of stones on the hillside. That is the fold. That is where they sleep. It is not much to look at. Rough field stones, stacked by hand. No mortar, the wall no higher than a man's chest. Along the top of it, thorn branches, woven in. It was never built to be beautiful. It was never built to be safe. And there is one thing about that wall you would notice if you were standing here with me on this hillside. There is no door. There is an opening in the stones, just wide enough for the animals to pass through, one at a time. But there is no gate, no hinge, no latch, no wooden bar to draw across in the dark. Just a gap, just an open mouth in the wall, with the whole night on the other side of it. So the sheep go in, and they turn, and they fold their legs beneath them, and they settle into the dust, one against another, warm. And the shepherd counts them, and when the last of them is inside, he does not go home. He lies down in the doorway, right there, across the gap in the stones, his back against the cold rock on one side, his feet against the cold rock on the other, his body filling the only way in. Nothing can enter that fold without crossing over him. Not a wolf, not a thief, not anything that walks in the dark and is hungry. He is not guarding the door, dear one. He is the door. That is not poetry. That is a job. That is what those men actually did, night after night, on those hills. There is a story of a traveler in the last century who came upon a fold like this one and asked the herdsman why there was no gate on the opening. The man was not a believer. He had never read a word of the New Testament. He answered without even stopping to think about it. He said, "I am the gate." And now hold that picture in your mind, the man lying in the doorway with his eyes open, and listen to how the song begins. Listen now to the words from the book of Psalms, the 23rd chapter. Yahweh is my shepherd, I shall lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and loving kindness shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in Yahweh's house forever. That is the whole of it. 6 short lines. We will not hurry through them. We are going to spend the whole night in them, the way you would spend a night in a house you loved. But tonight, this hour, we stay with the first line only. Yahweh is my shepherd, I shall lack nothing. Notice what the man who wrote this did not say. He did not say, "The Lord is a shepherd," somewhere, in general, to someone. He said, "My shepherd, mine," the way a sheep in a flock of 30 knows which voice belongs to it. Because those flocks were small, dear one, 20 animals, 50, perhaps 100, small enough that the man knew every single one, small enough that they had names, small enough that when one of them was missing, he knew instantly which one and where it liked to wander and how it sounded when it was frightened. You were never a number to him. There is no crowd large enough to lose you in. And the man who wrote this knew the work from the inside. David was not a poet who visited a farm. He was a boy sent out with his father's animals while his older brothers stayed home, the youngest, the one they did not call in from the field when the prophet came. He knew the smell of wet wool. He knew what a lion sounds like at a distance, and what it sounds like when it is closer than that. And when he came, much later, to reach for the largest thing he could think of, the God who made the sky, the only picture big enough that he could find was the picture of himself as a boy lying across a doorway in the dark. I shall lack nothing. Say it slowly. Not, I shall want for nothing I desire. Not, I shall be given everything I ask for. The word is quieter than that, and stronger. It means, I will not go without. There will not be a night when what I need is not there. And here is the strange arithmetic of that sentence, dear one. The sheep is not saying it is clever. The sheep is not saying it is strong, or fast, or armed, or capable of much of anything at all. A sheep is not a capable animal. It cannot defend itself. It cannot find its own way back. If it falls, it can lie there on its back in the grass and simply be unable to rise. Everything in that sentence, every ounce of the confidence in it, rests on someone else. I shall lack nothing because of who is lying in the doorway, not because of anything I have managed. I wonder if you have been trying to be the gate. I think perhaps you have. I think that is some of what is heavy in you tonight. The lying awake, the going over of it again, the turning of the same 3 worries in your hands like stones you cannot put down. Somewhere along the way you came to believe that if you did not keep watch, no one would, that the wall had a gap in it, and it was yours to fill, and if you closed your eyes, something would get in. Dear one, look at the doorway. It is already filled. Listen now to the words from the book of Psalms, the 121st chapter. I will lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from Yahweh, who made heaven and earth. He will not allow your foot to be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is your keeper. Yahweh is your shade on your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh will keep you from all evil. He will keep your soul. Yahweh will keep your going out and your coming in, from this time forward and forevermore. He who keeps you will not slumber. Hear it again, slowly. He will neither slumber nor sleep. Do you understand what that means for you tonight? It means the watching is covered. It means there is no hour between now and the morning that will pass unattended. Not the hour at 2, when the house is at its quietest and the mind is at its loudest. Not the hour at 4, when everything you are afraid of seems most certainly true. Someone is awake in all of them, and it does not have to be you. The sheep in that fold on the hillside are not lying awake worrying about wolves. They are not taking turns at the gap in the wall. They are not calculating how far the sound was, or whether the thorns are thick enough, or what would happen if. They are asleep, piled against one another in the dust, warm, breathing, utterly, foolishly, beautifully unguarded. And they can be that way for exactly one reason, because he is not. Because out there in the doorway, with the cold coming down off the hills and the stars beginning to show themselves one by one over the ridge, a man is lying awake in the dark with his eyes open, so that they do not have to. Their rest is built on his watching. Their sleep is the shape of his sleeplessness. That is the whole of the gospel, dear one, laid out in stone and wool on a hillside. He does not sleep, so that you can. So let go of the wall now. You may stop listening for the sound in the dark. You may stop counting the things that could go wrong. The gap in the stones is filled, and it is not filled by you, and it was never meant to be. The one who keeps you is not tired. He has not grown weary of the night. He does not need to be relieved at dawn. He has been awake through every night of your life, the ones you remember, and the ones you were too small to remember, and he is awake in this one. Yahweh is my shepherd. I shall lack nothing. Breathe out now, all of it. Let the day go out of your chest. The flock is settled. The stars are coming out over the ridge, one, and then another, and then more than you could ever count. The man in the doorway shifts once against the stone, and then is still, and his eyes stay open. And tomorrow, When the light comes back over these hills, he will stand up and stretch and lead them out to feed. Down the slope, into the low country, to a place he has been preparing for them with his own hands since long before they knew they would need it. We will follow them there. But not yet, dear one. For now, just lie still and be one of the small, warm things in the dark, behind a wall, with someone awake in the doorway. Part 2. The 4 things that keep a sheep standing. Psalm 23, 2a. He makes me lie down in green pastures. Morning. The light comes back over the ridge the way it always does, without asking, without effort, spilling gray and then gold across the stones. And the man in the doorway stands. He has been there all night. His back aches from the rock. He does not mention it. He simply steps aside and calls, and the fold begins to move. They come out slowly, blinking, one at a time through the gap in the wall, and they follow him down the slope, away from the high stony ground, into the low country where the land folds and the water gathers. The dust rises around their legs in a soft brown cloud. The bell moves. The morning is still cool, and he leads them over a rise into a field, green. You would not expect it here. Understand what this country actually looks like, dear one. The hills around Bethlehem, where the boy David kept his father's flocks, are not soft country. They are dry, brown, sun-scorched. Stone and thorn and thin grass burned to straw by the second month of summer. The great sheep countries of the world are almost all like this, semi-arid, hard. Green pastures do not happen in a place like this. They are made. Every green field on those hills was the end of somebody's labor. Somebody cleared the stones out of it, by hand, one at a time, and stacked them at the edges. Somebody tore out the thorn roots. Somebody broke the hard crust of that ground and turned it, and sowed it, and found a way to bring water to it, and waited. Seasons of waiting. The green did not come because the land was generous. The green came because the shepherd was. So when the flock comes over that rise in the morning, and the ground beneath them changes from brown to green, they are not walking into an accident. They are walking into something that was prepared before they were hungry, prepared before they knew they would need it, prepared while they were sleeping in the dust behind a wall, and long before that. Listen now to the words from the book of Psalms, the 23rd chapter. He makes me lie down in green pastures. 6 words, and the strangest one is the first. He makes me. Not, he permits me. Not, he offers me the opportunity, should I choose to take it. He makes me lie down, as though lying down were something a creature would not do on its own, as though rest, real rest, had to be done to you. And here, dear one, is where the men who have actually kept sheep can tell us something the rest of us would never guess. A sheep will not lie down. Not easily, not by nature, not unless 4 separate things are true of it at the same moment. 4, and if even one of them is missing, the animal stays on its feet all day, shifting, stamping, watching, wearing itself thin. A man who ranched sheep for years and then went looking for this psalm in his own fields wrote them down, and I want to give them to you slowly, one by one, because I think you already know them. I think you have been standing up for a very long time. The first. A sheep will not lie down while it is afraid. They are timid past all reason. A hare bolting from a bush, nothing, a small brown nothing, no threat at all, and the whole flock can stampede. One animal runs, and a dozen run with it, not one of them having seen a single thing. They do not wait to look. They cannot afford to. They have no teeth to speak of, no claws, no speed worth the name, no cleverness. The entire defense of a sheep is to run and to be somewhere else. So as long as there is the faintest suspicion of danger, the faintest, they stand, legs under them, ready. And a standing animal is not resting, no matter how still it looks. Do you know that feeling? Lying in a bed with your body flat and your mind standing up. Ready for nothing, for something, for whatever it is. The second, a sheep will not lie down while there is friction in the flock. This one surprised me when I first learned it. There is an order among sheep, a cruel little ladder of rank, and they enforce it. An old ewe who has decided she is first will walk up to a younger one lying peacefully in a good spot and lower her head and butt her out of it, not from hunger, not from need, simply because she can. And so the flock becomes tense, edgy, watchful of one another. Nobody can settle, because settling means losing your place. So they stay standing, guarding what little status they have, and they lose weight, and they thrive at nothing. There is a rivalry that keeps a soul from sleeping, dear one, and it is not always about anything large. Who was praised, who was not, who has more, who was right, and never admitted otherwise. The conversation you keep rehearsing, in which you finally say the thing you did not say, all of it is standing up. All of it is a body refusing to fold its legs. The third, a sheep will not lie down while it is being tormented. The flies come in the warm months, small, relentless, and cruel in ways I will tell you about later when we come to the oil. For now it is enough to say that a creature being pestered cannot rest. It stamps, it shakes its head. It runs into the brush for relief and finds none, and comes back out and stamps again. Not one great agony, just a small one, repeating all day with no end that the animal can see. And the fourth, a sheep will not lie down while it is hungry. Of course it will not. Nothing will. A hungry animal moves, because moving is the only thing that has ever produced food. It takes one more scanty mouthful, and then it must find the next, and it walks the day away searching, and it never fills, and it never lies down, and it never grows. 4 things: fear, friction, torment, hunger. And now, dear one, I want you to notice the thing that the shepherds noticed. Not one of those 4 is inside the sheep's power to fix. Not one. The sheep cannot make the valley safe. The sheep cannot settle the quarrel in the flock. The sheep cannot lift the flies from its own face. The sheep cannot grow the grass. Every single condition of its rest lies outside of it, in the hands of someone else. It can strive at all 4 and accomplish none of them. The only thing that can put a sheep on the ground is a shepherd who has already dealt with all 4. He makes me lie down. Now do you hear it? It is not a command. It is not, lie down and be quick about it. It is the quiet announcement that everything which was keeping you upright has been handled. The field is safe because he is standing in it. The quarrel is settled because he has come between them. The flies are dealt with. The grass is deep. There is nothing left for you to do but fold your legs, and the flock does. Out there in the green, in the middle of the morning, with the sun climbing, they go down into the grass, one and then another, chewing, half-lidded, utterly done with the business of surviving for a little while. That is not laziness. That is trust with a body. Listen now to the words from the book of Genesis, the 2nd chapter. The heavens, the earth, and all their vast array were finished. On the 7th day, God finished his work which he had done, and he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had done. God blessed the 7th day and made it holy, because he rested in it from all his work of creation which he had done. He rested. Sit with that one for a moment. The one who does not slumber, the one who was awake in the doorway all last night and will be awake in it again tonight, began the world by resting in it. Not because he was tired. He does not tire. Isaiah will tell us that before this night is finished, he rested because rest was worth making, because the 7th day was not an afterthought or a leftover. It was the last thing he built, and he called it holy, and he blessed it. Rest was not the absence of the work. Rest was the crown on top of it. And notice where the human being enters that story. Man is made on the 6th day. The evening comes, and the morning, and the first full day a human being ever opened his eyes to was the day God had already set aside for rest. Before he had worked an hour, before he had earned a single thing. The first thing a person ever did in this world was rest in a finished creation he had contributed nothing to. Dear one, you have it backwards, and so do I, and so does nearly everyone. We work in order to earn a rest at the end. We treat sleep as the reward for a day well spent, and so on the days we did not spend well, we do not feel entitled to it, and we lie there in the dark holding a ledger. But the pasture was green before the flock arrived. The 7th day was holy before anyone had done anything at all. You do not lie down because you finished. You lie down because he did. Let your body understand that. Feel the mattress underneath you. Feel how it is holding all of your weight, all of it, and asking nothing back. You do not have to hold yourself up. You are not helping. Let the bed have you. And breathe. In and out. Slower. There is a moment I want to give you before we leave this field. It comes much later in the story, 1,000 years after David, on the other side of the same hills. A group of men have come back from a long journey. They are exhausted. They have been pouring themselves out, and the crowds keep coming, and there is a detail in the account so small it is easy to walk past. They did not even have time to eat. Listen now to the words from the Good News according to Mark, the 6th chapter. The apostles gathered themselves together to Jesus, and they told him all things, whatever they had done, and whatever they had taught. He said to them, "You come apart into a deserted place, and rest a while." For there were many coming and going, and they had no leisure so much as to eat. They went away in the boat to a deserted place by themselves. Come apart and rest a while. That is the shepherd's voice, dear one, the same voice. It did not say, push through. It did not say, The need is great, and you are the only ones who can meet it. The need was great. The crowds were real. The work was not finished. And he took them away from it anyway, out onto the water, into the quiet, because he would rather have them rested than have them useful. He has never once been impressed by your exhaustion. I want you to hear that clearly, because I think somewhere in you there is a belief that the striving is a kind of offering, that if you are tired enough, worn enough, wrung out enough, it will count for something. It does not. He is not counting that. He is looking at you standing in the middle of the green field, refusing to lie down in it, and he is saying the same thing he said in the boat. Come apart. Rest a while. So let us name the 4 one last time and set them down. The fear. Give it to the doorway. It is filled. He does not slumber. The friction. Whatever quarrel you are still standing in, whatever you are still owed, whoever has not yet admitted it, you do not have to hold your place tonight. Your place is not held by winning. Lie down and lose it. Nothing that matters will be lost. The torment, the small thing, the one that is not big enough to be a tragedy and not small enough to ignore, the one that has been landing on you and landing on you all day. The oil is coming, I promise you. We will get to the oil and the hunger. Whatever it is you are certain you need and do not have. Look down, dear one. Look at the grass around your knees. It is already here. It was made ready before you came over the rise. Yahweh is my shepherd. I shall lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. Fold your legs. Out in the field, the flock has gone quiet. The sun is warm on their backs. The grass moves a little in the wind, and then is still. Somewhere at the edge of the green, the shepherd is sitting on a stone, not doing anything, just watching them sleep in the middle of the day, the way a man watches something he made. And when they wake, they will be thirsty. They always are. And he will lead them to the water, but not to the river, never to the river. There is a reason for that, dear one, and it is a reason that will tell you something about your own soul. But it will keep. Everything keeps. Sleep now, if you can. The grass is deep, the field was prepared, and nothing in it is asking you to stand. Part 3. Still water and the sheep that cannot rise. Psalm 23, 2b through 3a. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. The afternoon has gone long and gold. The flock is stirring in the grass. One rises, then another. And they are thirsty now. They always are, after sleep. So the shepherd stands, and he calls, and he leads them out of the green, down the fold of the land, toward the sound of water. You can hear it before you see it. A river, running fast over stone, cold, clean, loud. It is the best water for miles, and he will not take them to it. He turns the flock aside, away from that good, rushing water. And you might stand there on the bank and wonder what on earth he is doing. Here is what he knows. A sheep is afraid of moving water, deeply, bodily, and the fear is not foolish. That fleece is thick. It drinks. It takes on water like a sponge takes it on, and a sheep that slips into a current with a wet fleece does not swim. It sinks. The very thing that keeps it warm is the thing that will pull it under. So it will not drink there. It would rather stay thirsty. It will stand at the edge of the best water in the country, parched, and turn away. So the shepherd makes still water. He walks upstream. He finds a place where the bank curves, and he moves stones, by hand, one at a time, cold water over his wrists. He builds a small wall out into the current, and behind that wall the water slows and turns and settles. A pool, shallow, quiet, still. And then he calls them, and they come, because now they can. They put their heads down into water that is not moving, and they drink, and they drink, and the thirst goes out of them. Listen now to the words from the book of Psalms, the 23rd chapter. He leads me beside still waters. Still waters. Waters of quietness. The old Hebrew has it. Waters of rest. He did not make the river gentler, dear one. The river is still running. It is running tonight. He made a place beside it where you could drink without being afraid. And I want you to notice what that cost him. Nothing about that pool was free. He carried those stones. He stood in cold water to build it. He did it because the animal he loved was too frightened to drink, and he was not willing to leave it thirsty. There is water you have been standing beside for a long time and would not drink. I think you know what it is. The thing that would help you and frightens you. The conversation. The prayer you have not prayed because you are not certain you would survive the answer. The grief you have walked around the edge of for years. The way you would walk around a fast river, knowing that if you went in, you would not come up. He knows why you will not go in. He is not standing on the far bank calling you a coward. He is upstream, with his sleeves wet, moving stones. Breathe now, in and out. Let it go all the way out. There is more to that verse, and it is the tenderest thing in the whole psalm, and almost nobody knows what it means. He restores my soul. We hear that and we think of something soft, refreshment, a warm feeling, comfort. It is not that. It is far more urgent than that. There is a thing that happens to sheep, and the old shepherds had a word for it. They called such an animal cast down, a cast sheep. It happens like this. A ewe lies down in a small hollow in the ground, some little dip in the grass, to rest. Nothing is wrong. She is safe. She is fed. And she rolls, just slightly, onto her side to be more comfortable. And her center of balance shifts. And she goes over onto her back. And she cannot get up. That is all it takes. 4 legs in the air, kicking at nothing. The fleece heavy, the hollow holding her. She struggles, and the struggling makes it worse, because gas begins to build in her body and presses on her lungs, and the harder she fights, the less she can breathe. On a cool day she might last a while. In the sun, hours, only hours. And here is the part that undoes me. She did not fall into a pit. She was not chased there. No wolf did this. She lay down in a good field, in a soft place, to rest, and she simply tipped a little too far. That is how it happens, dear one. That is how it happened to you. Not a catastrophe, not one great blow you could name and point to. Just a small settling, a slight roll, a little too far in a direction that felt, at the time, like getting comfortable. And then one morning you could not get up, and you could not explain it to anyone, because nothing had happened. Nothing had happened, and you were on your back, and the struggling was making it worse. Now, watch the shepherd. He counts the flock, always, every evening, and when one is missing, he does not wait to see if she will come. He goes out. He walks the field. He knows the hollows. He knows which ones are dangerous, and which of his animals is heavy in wool, and where she likes to lie. And when he finds her, legs in the air, frantic, worn out, he does not scold her. He kneels. He rolls her over onto her side, gently, because rolling her too fast would kill her. And then he lifts her onto her feet, and she cannot stand. Her legs are numb. The blood has not come back into them. So he holds her, straddling her, taking her weight against his own legs, and he rubs them, one at a time, until the feeling returns, and she staggers, and he holds her again, and it takes as long as it takes, and then she walks. That, dear one, is the sentence. He restores my soul. It is not a warm feeling. It is a man on his knees in a field at dusk, rubbing the life back into legs that had given out, holding up an animal that could not hold itself up for as long as it took. He has done that for you, more than once. You may not have known it was happening. You only knew that you were on your back, and then, some while later, you were walking. Listen now to the words from the book of Isaiah, the 40th chapter. He will feed his flock like a shepherd. He will gather the lambs in his arm and carry them in his bosom. He will gently lead those who have their young. Gently. He will gently lead. He sets the pace to the slowest one, not to the strongest, not to the ones who could go all day, to the ewe who is heavy, and the lamb that is small, and the animal that only last week could not get on its feet. The whole flock moves at the speed of the one who is struggling. You are not behind. You are the pace. And hear the rest of it from the same chapter. Haven't you known? Haven't you heard? The everlasting God, Yahweh, the creator of the ends of the earth, doesn't faint. He isn't weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the weak. He increases the strength of him who has no might. Even the youths faint and get weary, and the young men utterly fall. But those who wait for Yahweh will renew their strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not be weary. They will walk and not faint. He does not faint. He is not weary. The strong ones fall, dear one. Isaiah says so plainly. The young men, the ones with everything in front of them, the ones who never needed anybody, they utterly fall. And the ones who wait are renewed, not the ones who strive. The ones who wait. That word is the whole difference between the ewe on her back kicking and the ewe on her back going still and letting the hands do their work. The struggling was never what saved her. The struggling was pressing on her lungs. So go still now. Let your legs be heavy. Let your arms be heavy. Let the bed take all of it. You have kicked at the air for long enough. He has counted the flock tonight. He knows exactly which one is missing from the fold, and where the hollows are, and how long you have been down. He is not hurrying, and he is not far. He is kneeling in the grass beside you in the last of the light, and his hands are warm, and he will stay as long as it takes. There is one more thing about thirst that I want to give you before the light goes. A sheep does not always know that it is thirsty. That sounds impossible. It is not. A body can go dry so gradually that the animal never registers a moment of wanting. It simply slows. The wool goes dull. The eye goes flat. It keeps walking, keeps grazing, keeps doing everything a healthy animal does. And it is drying out the whole time. The shepherd sees it before the sheep does. That is his work. He does not wait to be asked. He looks at an animal moving across a field and he knows, from the way it holds its head, that it needs water it has not thought to want. And he turns the whole flock toward the pool. Dear one, I wonder how long you have been dry. Not in crisis, not in some dramatic collapse, just going dull, getting through the days, doing everything a person does, and doing it well enough that nobody has asked. And somewhere underneath it, a thirst so old that you have stopped calling it a thirst. You have started calling it your personality. You have started calling it just how things are now. There was a man who noticed, who caught himself at it, and what he wrote is one of the most honest things in the whole book. Listen now to the words from the book of Psalms, the 42nd chapter. As the deer pants for the water brooks, so my soul pants after you, God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When shall I come and appear before God? My tears have been my food day and night, while they continually ask me, where is your God? Why are you in despair, my soul? Why are you disturbed within me? Hope in God, for I shall still praise him for the saving help of his presence. Deep calls to deep at the noise of your waterfalls. All your waves and your billows have swept over me, yet Yahweh will command his loving kindness in the daytime. In the night his song shall be with me, a prayer to the God of my life. In the night his song shall be with me. Hear how that man spoke to himself. Why are you in despair, my soul? He is not lying to himself. He does not say, I am fine. He does not pretend the tears away. He says outright that they have been his food day and night. He simply refuses to let the despair have the last word in the room. He turns and speaks to his own soul the way a shepherd speaks to a frightened animal. Steady, out loud, hope in God. You are allowed to do that tonight. You are allowed to be tired and thirsty and honest about it, and still say, softly, into the dark, that this is not the end of the story. Both things at once. That is not weakness. That is a psalm. And notice where he ends up. Not in the daylight, in the night. In the night his song shall be with me. The very hours you dread are the hours he says the song comes. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. Drink. The water is not moving. He made it that way for you. Out in the field, the flock has finished at the pool. Their mouths are wet. The sun is low, and the shepherd is standing and looking up the long slope toward the hills, because there is a path they must take tomorrow, and it is not an easy one. He will go first. He always goes first, but that is tomorrow, not tonight. Tonight there is only still water and grass and the sound of animals breathing in the dark. Part 4. He goes first, and he knows your name. Psalm 23, 3b. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Before the sun, The fold is gray, the stones are cold, the animals are still folded into the dust, breathing. And the man in the doorway sits up. He does not wake them roughly. There is no shouting on these hills. He simply stands and moves out of the gap in the wall, and he begins to speak. Just his voice, low, ordinary, the same voice he used yesterday and the day before and every morning of their lives. And they get up. Listen now to the words from the book of Psalms, the 23rd chapter. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Guides, not drives. There is a difference, dear one, and in that country it was the whole difference. Cattle are driven. You get behind them. You shout. You crack something. You push the herd forward with pressure from the rear, and the herd moves because staying still has become unpleasant. Sheep are not driven. Sheep are led. The shepherd walks out in front. He puts his own body on the path first. Every step he asks them to take, he has already taken. Every stone he asks them to cross, his foot found before theirs did. There is nothing behind them pushing. There is only someone ahead of them, walking and talking as he goes. And they follow the sound. That is the mechanism. That is all it is. Not a whip. Not a dog snapping at their heels. A voice they have heard so many times that their bodies move toward it without deciding to. Now hear how the Good Shepherd himself described it, 1,000 years after David, standing on the same soil. Listen now to the words from the Good News according to John, the 10th chapter. He who enters in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. Whenever he brings out his own sheep, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. They will by no means follow a stranger, but will flee from him, for they don't know the voice of strangers. He calls his own sheep by name. They had names. I want to be certain you understand that this is not a figure of speech. Those flocks were small, 20 animals, 40, 100 at the outside. And a man who spends every hour of every day and every night of every year with 100 creatures begins to know them the way you know the people in your own house. He knows which one limps in the cold. He knows which one always drifts to the left. He knows which one is nervous around the dog, and which one will eat out of his hand, and which one bore twins last spring and has never quite got her strength back. And he gave them names: Old Gray, Crooked Horn, the Little One. Whatever a man calls a thing he has stayed up all night with. And in the morning he does not call them as a mob. He calls them one by one. And one by one, out of the huddle, each of them lifts its head at the sound of the only word in the world that means itself. He calls his own sheep by name. Dear one, he knows yours, not your role, not what you do for people, not the version of you that answers the telephone. Your name, the one that is used when there is no one else in the room, the one your mother used, the one you were called before you had done a single thing worth being called anything for. There is no crowd here. There never was. There is a flock small enough that every animal in it is known, and you are in it, and he is standing at the gap in the wall in the gray light, saying your name. And then there are 3 words in the psalm that most people walk straight past and they may be the most restful words in it. For his name's sake. Stop there. Read it again with me. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake, not for my sake, not because I am promising, not because I have shown potential, not because I have been good enough this year to justify the trouble. He does it for the sake of his own name. Do you understand what that takes off you? If he led you because you were worth leading, then on the days you were not, the leading would stop. And you know exactly which days those were. You could list them. Some of them you have been listing all evening. If his faithfulness were a response to yours, you would have lost him a long time ago. But it is not. He keeps you because of who he is. Because a shepherd who loses his sheep is not much of a shepherd, and he will not have that said of him. His reputation is on the line, not yours. His name is what is at stake and whether you make it home. You are not being carried because you are precious cargo. You are being carried because the one carrying you does not drop things. Let that be true for a moment. There is a reason those paths matter so much in that country. The hills are cut through with tracks, hundreds of them, worn thin by hooves over generations, and they all look alike. Some of them lead to water, some of them lead to good grazing, and some of them go up and thin out and end at nothing, at a drop, at a wall of rock, at a place a heavy animal can get into and cannot get out of. A sheep cannot tell them apart. It has no map. It has no sense of the country. It has never once in its life looked at a hillside and understood where a path was going. It simply puts its head down and eats, and follows the grass, and follows the grass, and looks up an hour later and does not know where it is. That is not stupidity. That is just what it is to be a sheep. They wander not by rebellion, but by grazing. One mouthful at a time, away from everyone. I think that is how most of us have gotten lost, dear one. Not in one great act of defiance. Nobody chose the cliff. We just kept following the next green thing, and the next, and we looked up one day, years later, on a track we could not name, and did not know how we came to be there. You do not need to find your own way back. You would not manage it. Sheep do not. You only need to be still and listen until you hear the voice that has been out ahead of you the whole time, still walking, still calling. And if you are too far off to hear it, then hear this instead. He comes. Listen now to the words from the Good News according to Luke, the 15th chapter. Which of you men, if you had 100 sheep and lost one of them, wouldn't leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after the one that was lost until he found it? When he has found it, he carries it on his shoulders, rejoicing. When he comes home, he calls together his friends and his neighbors, saying to them, "Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep which was lost." Until he found it. Not for a while, not until dark, not until it became unreasonable, until he found it. The searching does not have a limit in that sentence, because it did not have one in that country. A man went out and stayed out, and then look what he does when he finds it. He does not lead it home. He could. The animal has legs. It walked out here on them. But it is exhausted now, and frightened, and it has been calling into the dark for hours, and he does not ask it to walk one step of the way back. He puts it on his shoulders. Behind his neck, across both shoulders, its legs held together in his hands. That is how a man carries a full-grown sheep, and it is heavy, and the way home is long, and he is glad. Rejoicing, the text says, not sighing, not muttering about the trouble, rejoicing the entire way, with the weight of the thing he went out for, pressing down on him. Dear one, you have been trying to walk back. You have been trying to earn the last mile home under your own legs, so that when you arrive you can say you managed some of it. Put that down. Nobody in that story walks home. The lost one is carried, and the carrying is the joy, and the joy is his, not yours to provide. Listen now to the words from the book of Psalms, the 25th chapter. Show me your ways, Yahweh. Teach me your paths. Guide me in your truth, and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. I wait for you all day long. Yahweh, remember your tender mercies and your loving kindness, for they are from old times. Don't remember the sins of my youth, nor my transgressions. Remember me according to your loving kindness, for your goodness' sake, Yahweh. Good and upright is Yahweh, therefore he will instruct sinners in the way. He will guide the humble in justice. He will teach the humble his way. All the paths of Yahweh are loving kindness and truth to such as keep his covenant and his testimonies. He will instruct sinners in the way, not the qualified, not the impressive, sinners, the ones who took the wrong track, the ones with something in their youth they would rather not have remembered. David is asking God to forget the very things David cannot forget, and to remember him instead, according to loving kindness and for goodness' sake. For your goodness' sake. There it is again, the same ground, not on the strength of my record, on the strength of yours. Set the ledger down now, dear one. You have been holding it all evening, the list of the wrong turns, the years you would take back, the paths you followed one mouthful at a time. He is not leading you home to review them with you. He is leading you home because his name is on you. And hear the last thing he says of his own flock. Listen now to the words from the Good News according to John, the 10th chapter. I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and I'm known by my own, even as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. I lay down my life for the sheep. I lay down my life for the sheep. He has already been down that path, dear one. The worst one, the one that thins out and ends at a wall of rock. He went first, the way he always goes first, and he came back, and now there is no track on any hill in this world that he has not already walked ahead of you. Breathe in and out. The flock is out of the fold now, moving down the pale morning slope in a long, thin line, each one following the shoulders of the one in front, and all of them following the voice. The bell moves, the dust rises, the light is coming, and the path they are on is turning east, toward the high country, toward a place where the hills close in on either side, and the walls go up, and the sun only reaches the floor of it for a few minutes at midday. They must go through it. There is no way around. The best grazing lies on the other side, and the only road to it runs through the dark. He is not afraid of that road. He knows every stone in it, and he will not send them into it. He will walk in first. But that is for tomorrow, dear one, not tonight. Tonight you are only being called by name, in the gray light, by someone who has never once lost anything he was given. Part 5. The Valley, and the one who walks in it with you. Psalm 23 verse 4a. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. The hills close in. You feel it before you see it. The wind drops. The sound changes. The open country that has been on both sides of you all morning begins to narrow and rise, and the sky above you goes from a wide thing to a strip. This is a wadi, a cut in the rock, a dry riverbed between two walls of stone. The road from Jerusalem down to Jericho runs through country like this, and in some places the walls go up so high and so close that the sun only touches the floor of it for a few minutes at noon. The rest of the day, shadow, all of it, cool, blue, dim. The valley of deep shadow. That is what the Hebrew calls it, not a poem, a place with a name that a boy with a flock would have walked through many times and known the smell of, and they must go through it. That is the thing I want you to hold. There is no way around this. The high summer pasture is on the other side. The good grass, the cool air, the long green weeks, all of it lies beyond the far end of this cut in the rock. And the only road that reaches it goes down into the dark. The shepherd does not pretend otherwise. He does not tell them it will be pleasant. He walks in first. Listen now to the words from the book of Psalms, the 23rd chapter. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Through, say it with me, dear one, through the valley, not into, not down to, not, I make my home in the valley of the shadow of death. Through it. It is a corridor. It has two ends. You are in it, and you are moving, and there is a far side. I know it does not feel that way. In the middle of a wadi, with the walls up on either side, you cannot see the end of it. The rock bends. The light does not reach far. It looks, from inside, exactly like a place that goes on forever. That is the nature of shadow. It always looks permanent from underneath. But you are walking, and the man in front of you has been to the end of it. And now hear what changes in the song, right here, at the darkest point. Go back and listen to the beginning again. The Lord is my shepherd. He makes me lie down. He leads me. He restores. He guides. He. The whole psalm up to this moment is about him, spoken of in the third person, the way you would describe someone to a friend. And then the walls close in, and the sentence changes. For you are with me. You, not he, you. The shepherd stops being a subject and becomes a person standing there. The moment the light goes, David stops talking about God and starts talking to him. That is not an accident of grammar, dear one. That is the entire architecture of the psalm. The valley is where the relationship stops being a description and becomes a hand you can reach for. You may have found this. Most people who have been in a real valley have found it. That the God you could discuss quite comfortably in the daylight, the God of the third person, became suddenly and shockingly the second person at 2 o'clock in the morning in a hospital corridor. You did not talk about him. You talked to him, out loud, perhaps, for the first time in years. The valley did not take him from you. The valley is where you found out he was standing next to you. I will fear no evil. And notice what it does not say. It does not say there is no evil. It does not say the valley is safe. It is not safe. There are things in a wadi, loose rock overhead, flash water that comes down the cut without warning when it has rained somewhere you cannot see, predators that use the narrow ground exactly as any hunter would. The danger is real, and the psalm does not insult you by pretending otherwise. It says, I will not be afraid of it, and it gives exactly one reason, for you are with me. That is the whole of the comfort. There is nothing else offered, no promise that the walls will open, no guarantee of a shortcut, no explanation of why the road runs this way. Just a presence. Just, I am here, and I am walking in front, and I am not leaving. And it is enough. It has been enough for 3,000 years. Breathe now, in and out, slowly. There is something about fear in sheep that I have to tell you, because it will explain your own body to you. They panic in chains. A hare bolts from a bush. That is all. A small brown nothing. No teeth, no threat. Running away from them, not toward them. And one sheep startles, and it runs, and a dozen run with it. And not one of those dozen saw the hare. They are not fleeing danger. They are fleeing each other's fear. They did not wait to look, because a sheep that waits to look is a sheep that gets eaten. And so 10,000 generations have taught them to run first and never find out. Dear one, I want you to consider how many of the things you will be afraid of tonight you have actually seen. Not the real ones. There are real ones. I would never tell you there are not. But the others. The ones that arrive at 1 a.m. in a great rush and set your heart going. The ones that are not happening. The ones that might. The ones you have run from 100 times without ever once turning around to see what was in the bush. Most of them were a hare. And the shepherds learned that only one thing stops a flock from stampeding. Not a fence, not a dog. The sight of the shepherd standing in the field. When they can see him, they do not scatter. They forget the noise. They put their heads back down. His presence does what nothing else can do. Listen now to the words from the book of Psalms, the 91st chapter. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of Yahweh, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. For He will deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with His feathers. Under His wings you will take refuge. His faithfulness is your shield and rampart. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that wastes at noonday. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night. He named it. 3,000 years ago, someone sat down and wrote the words terror by night, because he knew. Because the fear that comes at 3 a.m. is not the same animal as the fear that comes at noon, and everyone who has met it knows the difference. At noon, a worry is a problem. At 3 a.m, the same worry is a certainty. Nothing has changed but the hour. And look at the picture he reaches for. Not a wall, not an army. Feathers. He will cover you with His feathers. The softest thing in the world, a bird settling down over something small, and folding a wing across it and going still. The chick underneath does not see the storm. It sees the underside of a wing. It hears a heartbeat. That is all its whole world is. Let that be your whole world for the next few hours. And there is one more word for you, and it is the one I would give you if I could give you only one. Listen now to the words from the book of Isaiah, the 43rd chapter. But now Yahweh who created you says, and he who formed you, don't be afraid, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they will not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned, and flame will not scorch you. For I am Yahweh your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. When, not if. He does not promise you a life without water and fire. He never has. He promises that when you are in them, He will be in them. The rivers are not removed. They are simply not permitted to close over your head. And He says the thing again, the thing from this morning, at the gap in the wall. I have called you by your name. You are mine. That is what a man says over a sheep he has gone out into the dark to find. That is what he says over you. And if you are lying there tonight, thinking that no one has counted what this valley has cost you, that you have wept in rooms where there was nobody to see it, and it simply went nowhere, and was lost, then I have one more thing for you, and it is very small, and it is very strange, and I have never forgotten it. Listen now to the words from the book of Psalms, the 56th chapter. Be merciful to me, God, for man wants to swallow me up. All day long, he attacks and oppresses me. When I am afraid, I will put my trust in you. In God, I praise His word. In God, I put my trust. I will not be afraid. What can flesh do to me? You count my wanderings. You put my tears into your container. Aren't they in your book? This I know, that God is for me. You put my tears into your container. They kept them. Did you know that? In that part of the world, a mourner would gather tears into a small vessel of glass or clay and keep it. Archaeologists have pulled them out of the ground. Little bottles, tear bottles. Because grief that goes nowhere feels like grief that did not count, and so people found a way to hold it and set it on a shelf and say, this happened. This was real. I will not let it evaporate. And David looks up and says that God does this. Every one of them, dear one. The ones nobody saw, the ones in the car, the ones you cried so quietly that the person in the next room never knew, the ones you were ashamed of because you thought you should have been over it by now. Not one of them fell on the ground and vanished. He caught them. He kept them. He knows the count. You count my wanderings, the same verse says. Every wrong track, every mile you went the long way round. Counted and not held against you, but simply known. Because that is what it is to be loved by someone who was actually there. This I know, that God is for me. Not merely near me, not merely aware of me, for me, on my side, wanting my good, walking ahead of me in a dark cut in the rock, not because He must, but because I am His. So walk. Slowly. The shadow is only shadow, and shadow requires a light somewhere to make it. and the light is at the end of the cut, and you will get there. Not tonight. You do not have to get there tonight. Tonight you only have to take the next step, and then stop, and then be still. He is walking ahead of you in the blue dark, and his shoulders are between you and whatever is up there in the rocks, and he has done this road 100 times. And he is carrying something, one in each hand, 2 pieces of wood, worn smooth by years of holding. One is short and heavy, one is long and curved at the end. They are not the same thing, dear one. They were never the same thing, and one of them is for the enemy, and one of them is for you. But that is tomorrow. Tonight, rest. The walls are high, and the road is dark, and you are not walking it alone. You never were. Part 6. 2 pieces of wood. Psalm 23:4b. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Deep in the valley now. The light is blue and thin. The walls go up on either side of you, further than you can see. The sound of the hooves comes back off the rock, doubled, so that the flock sounds larger than it is. And out in front, the shepherd, walking, not hurrying, and in his hands, 2 pieces of wood. Look at them. They are not the same. They were never the same. For 3,000 years, people have said the phrase rod and staff, as though it were one thing said twice, a bit of poetry doubling back on itself for the music of it. It is not. Those are 2 different tools, for 2 different jobs, and a shepherd would no more confuse them than a carpenter would confuse a hammer and a saw. Listen now to the words from the book of Psalms, the 23rd chapter. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. The rod first. In the Hebrew, it is the shevet, and it is a club, short, heavy, cut from a young hardwood tree, taken with the root ball still attached to the end of it, and then shaped and worked and weighted until the head of it is a knot of solid wood in the shape of a fist. Sometimes they set stone or metal into it. It is a weapon. That is all it is. It has no other purpose. A boy learning this trade spent hours throwing it, hours, until he could put that club into a mark at 40 paces without thinking about it, the way you would point at something. Because the day would come, and every shepherd knew the day would come, when something would come out of the rocks at his animals, and there would be no time to decide anything. The rod never touches the sheep. Hear me on that, dear one, because a great deal of harm has been done with this verse. There are people who grew up being told that the rod was for them, that God carries a club, and it is meant for their backs. And the comfort in that sentence is the comfort of a child who has learned to sit very still. That is not what this is. The rod is what stands between the flock and the thing in the dark. It is swung outward, always outward. It is comfort in exactly the way that a locked door is comfort, not because it hurts you, because of what it keeps on the other side. And there was a boy who used one, the same boy who wrote this psalm. Listen now to the words from the first book of Samuel, the 17th chapter. David said to Saul, "Your servant was keeping his father's sheep, and when a lion or a bear came and took a lamb out of the flock, I went out after him and struck him and rescued it out of his mouth. When he arose against me, I caught him by his beard and struck him and killed him. Your servant struck both the lion and the bear. Yahweh, who delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, He will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine, out of his mouth. Sit with that. The lamb was already taken. It was in the mouth of the lion. It was, by any reasonable accounting, gone. And a boy went out after it anyway, into the dark, with a stick, and pulled it back out. Nobody would have blamed him for letting it go. It was one lamb. There were 99 others standing behind him. The arithmetic was obvious, and the arithmetic did not interest him at all. That is who is walking in front of you in this valley, and he is not doing it because you are valuable, dear one. We have said this already, and I will say it again, because it is the thing you keep letting go of. He is doing it because that is what he is. A lion does not negotiate with a shepherd. A shepherd does not negotiate with a lion. There is no discussion. There is only a man moving toward the thing that has taken what belongs to him. Breathe in and out. Now the other piece of wood, the staff, the missionette, and this one is nothing like the first. It is long, slender, light in the hand, and at the top of it, a curve, a hook, a crook, worn smooth and pale by 50 years of one family's hands. Fathers gave them to sons, and it is useless as a weapon, entirely useless. You could not fight anything with it. It would break. The staff is only ever used on the sheep. That is the whole difference. The rod is for the enemy. The staff is for you. And here is what it does. When a lamb has wandered too near the edge, and the shepherd cannot reach it without frightening it further off, he stretches out the staff and lays the crook of it gently against the animal's side and draws it back. Not roughly, just a pressure, just a suggestion in the ribs that says, this way. When a ewe has slipped into a crevice in the rock, wedged, frantic, unable to get any purchase with her legs, he reaches down with the crook and hooks it under her body and lifts. That curve was made for exactly that, for the shape of a trapped animal. When a newborn lamb has to be moved, and the ewe will not let a man's hands near it, because the smell of a human on a lamb can make a mother reject her own young, he lifts it with the staff instead. The crook under its belly, carried through the air a few feet and set down beside her, never touched. The thing that saved it also protected it from being saved the wrong way. And there is one more use, and it is the one I love. Walking, just walking, hour after hour, the shepherd will let the far end of the staff rest lightly against the side of a sheep as they go, just touching, no pressure at all. And through that piece of wood, the animal knows he is there. It cannot always see him. The flock is thick and the dust is up, but it feels the staff. Contact, steady, continuous. Nothing is being corrected. Nothing is being fixed. He is simply saying, the whole way, in the only language a sheep can read, I am here. I am still here. Dear one, some of the touches on your life were the rod, and they were aimed past you, at something you never saw. Some of them were the crook, pulling you back from an edge you did not know you were near, and it did not feel like rescue at the time. It felt like being thwarted. And some of them were nothing at all, just a weight against your side in the dark, just presence, just the long, steady pressure of someone walking beside you who had nothing to say and did not leave. They comfort me. Both of them, the club and the crook, the one that fights and the one that lifts. You do not get to have a shepherd who only carries the gentle one. A man with only a crook is a man whose flock gets eaten, and a man with only a club is not a shepherd at all. He is a soldier. You need both hands full, and they are. And if you have ever been under the care of someone who carried neither, someone who was meant to protect you and did not, someone who was meant to lift you and left you where you fell, then there is a passage I have been saving for you, and it is not gentle, and it is one of the most tender things in all the prophets. Listen now to the words from the book of Ezekiel, the 34th chapter. Woe to the shepherds of Israel who feed themselves. Shouldn't the shepherds feed the sheep? You haven't strengthened the diseased. You haven't healed that which was sick. You haven't bound up that which was broken. You haven't brought back that which was driven away. You haven't sought that which was lost. They were scattered because there was no shepherd. Therefore, thus says the Lord Yahweh, behold, I myself, even I, will search for my sheep and will seek them out. I will seek that which was lost and will bring back that which was driven away, and will bind up that which was broken, and will strengthen that which was sick. I will feed them in a good pasture. There they will lie down in a good fold. I will be their shepherd. I myself, even I. Do you hear what happened there? God looked at the men who were supposed to be tending his people, and he saw what they had done, and he did not send another man. He came down and took the flock himself. The broken were not bound up, so I will bind them. The lost were not sought, so I will seek them. Every single failure in that list, he turns around and takes onto his own shoulders, one at a time, as though reading a charge sheet and answering each line with, "Then I will do it." Dear one, some of you were shepherded badly, by a father, by a church, by someone who used the language of care and carried a club and pointed it inward. I want you to know that God saw it, that he is not neutral about it, that the anger in that chapter is not a general disapproval of poor management. It is the fury of an owner who came back and found his animals thin. And I want you to know how the chapter ends, not with judgment, with this. There they will lie down in a good fold. Lie down. Again, always. It is what he is for. Listen now to the words from the book of Psalms, the 27th chapter. Yahweh is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Yahweh is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When evildoers came at me to eat up my flesh, even my adversaries and my foes, they stumbled and fell. Though an army should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, even then I will be confident. One thing I have asked of Yahweh, that I will seek after, that I may dwell in the house of Yahweh all the days of my life, to see Yahweh's beauty, and to inquire in his temple. For in the day of trouble, he will keep me secretly in his pavilion. In the secret place of his tabernacle, he will hide me. He will lift me up on a rock. He will lift me up on a rock. The crook again, under the body, lifting, setting the animal down somewhere its own legs could never have carried it. And notice the one thing David asks for. One thing. Out of everything a king could name. Not victory, not vindication, not for the army to go away. That I may dwell in the house of Yahweh all the days of my life. He does not want the trouble removed. He wants to live where the shepherd lives. He has worked out, somewhere along the way, that those are not the same request, and that only one of them is worth making. We will come back to that house. At the very end of everything, we will come back to it. Breathe out now. Let your hands open. The valley is beginning to widen. Have you noticed? The walls are further apart than they were. There is more sky. The blue is going gray and then gold at the top of the rock. The far end is coming, the way it always does, to everyone who keeps walking. And out ahead, where the cut opens onto the high country, there is grass, good grass, summer grass, the place all this walking was for. The shepherd will go up first, as he always does. He will walk that tableland alone before he brings a single animal onto it. There are things up there that can kill a flock, and he knows every one of them by name, and he will find them, and he will deal with them before you ever set foot on that ground. He is preparing a table for you, but not tonight. Tonight there is only the sound of hooves on stone, and 2 pieces of wood, and someone in front of you in the dark, whose hands are full, and whose eyes are open. Part 7. The Table and the Oil. Psalm 23:5. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup runs over. They come out of the valley into the light. The walls fall away on either side. The sky opens up wide and pale above them, and in front of the flock, rolling away toward the far mountains, is the high country, the summer range, green and cool and wide. The shepherds call it the tableland, the high plateau where the good grass grows through the hot months, up where the air stays cool when the low country is burning. And the word they use for it, in that part of the world, is the same word David reaches for now: a table. Listen now to the words from the book of Psalms, the 23rd chapter. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Prepare. You do not walk a flock onto high country without preparing it. To do so would be to lose animals. Days before the sheep ever arrive, the shepherd goes up alone. He walks the whole plateau on foot, every acre of it, and he is looking for things that kill sheep. He is looking for poisonous plants, the ones that come up green and tempting in the spring, and he pulls them, or he burns them, or he marks the ground so he can keep the flock off it. He is looking for the dens of predators and the nests of vipers, and he deals with what he finds. He checks the water. He finds where it has gone bad and where it runs clean. He does the work of days, alone, on ground the sheep will later wander across without a care in the world, eating, never knowing what was removed from beneath their feet while they were still down in the valley. That is the word prepare. It means someone went ahead. Every good thing you will walk into tomorrow, dear one, someone has already been there. Every table you will sit down at was set before you arrived. There is ground in your life you crossed safely and never knew what had been cleared out of it in the days before you came. You have been kept from things you cannot even name, because the naming was his work, and he did it up ahead, alone, before you, in the presence of my enemies. The table is not set in a safe room with the door locked. It is set out in the open, on high exposed ground, where the enemies can see it. They are still there. The wolves have not been abolished. They are at the edge of the plateau, watching the flock graze, and they cannot come, not because they are gone, because he is there. That is a particular kind of peace, dear one. And I think it is the only kind actually on offer in this life. Not the peace of having no enemies, the peace of eating anyway, of sitting down at the table with your appetite intact, while the things that frighten you watch from the tree line and are not permitted to approach. You will not, this side of heaven, be given a life with nothing at the edges. You will be given a table in the middle of it, and a shepherd between you and them, and that is enough to eat by. Breathe in and out. And now the oil. And this, dear one, this is the part almost nobody understands, and once you understand it, you will never hear this verse the same way again. You anoint my head with oil. We hear that, and we picture something ceremonial, a king being crowned, fragrant oil poured over someone's hair in a solemn room, honor, blessing. And there is a place for that meaning, but it is not what a shepherd meant, and David was a shepherd before he was ever a king. To understand this, you have to know about the flies. In the warm months, there is an insect that torments sheep past all bearing, the nose fly. And what it does is this: it comes at the sheep's head, and it lays its eggs in the soft, damp membrane at the edge of the animal's nose. And when those eggs hatch, tiny larvae work their way up into the nasal passages, and they burrow, and they irritate, and the pain of it is something close to madness. A sheep with larvae in its head cannot rest, cannot eat, cannot lie down. It shakes its head for hours. It stamps. It rubs its nose against the ground, against rocks, against anything, trying to reach a thing it cannot reach. Some sheep, in the frenzy of it, will beat their heads against a tree or a stone hard enough and long enough to injure themselves badly. There are accounts of animals that killed themselves this way, trying to stop a small thing inside their own head. Do you know that torment, dear one? Not the great griefs. We have spoken about those. This is the other kind. The small thing that gets inside and will not come out. The worry that is not large enough to be a real problem and not small enough to release. The thought that lands and lands and lands. The thing you cannot reach to scratch because it is inside your own head, and so you rub it against everything all day and find no relief, and at 3 a.m, you are beating your head softly against the same stone you were beating it against last night. That is the nose fly, and the sheep cannot do one single thing about it, but the shepherd can. When the fly season comes, he makes a mixture, oil, olive oil, or linseed, and into it he works sulfur and tar, and sometimes other things his father taught him. And one by one he takes the head of each animal in his hands, and he smears that mixture over its nose, and around its eyes, and across the crown of its head. A coating, a barrier, something the flies will not cross. And the change in the animal is immediate. The tossing stops, the stamping stops, the frenzy drains out of it, and the sheep, which has not been still in days, lowers its head and goes quiet and begins, at last, to graze in peace. That is the anointing, dear one. You anoint my head with oil. It is not a ceremony. It is a mercy. It is the hands of the shepherd on the exact place where the torment gets in, applying the one thing that makes it stop. So hear the verse again, now that you know. You anoint my head with oil. You put your hands on the place it hurts, the place I cannot reach, the place that has kept me from lying down, and you cover it, and the tormenting thing cannot cross what you have laid over me, and for the first time in days, I am still. Bring him your head tonight, not your griefs, just the small tormenting thing, the one going round and round, the one that is not worth a prayer, you have told yourself, not worth troubling anyone with. Bring him that. Lower your head. Let the hands cover the place it gets in. And the last line, my cup runs over. At the end of a long day in that country, a good host would meet the shepherd coming in and pour him a cup and keep pouring past the sensible line, past full, until it spilled over the rim and ran down the sides and over the host's own hand. That was the message. There was no shortage here. You are not being measured. Stay. An overflowing cup is a cup poured by someone who is not worried about running out. He is not rationing you, dear one. Whatever you have learned to expect from the world, the careful portions, the love given by the ounce, the sense that there is only so much and you had better not ask for more, set it down. The cup is running over. It is running over his hand. He does not mind. He has more than you could drink in 100 years, and he is glad, and he is still pouring. Listen now to the words from the book of Psalms, the 36th chapter. Your loving kindness, Yahweh, is in the heavens. Your faithfulness reaches to the skies. Your righteousness is like the mountains of God. Your judgments are like a great deep. How precious is your loving kindness, God. The children of men take refuge under the shadow of your wings. They shall be abundantly satisfied with the abundance of your house. You will make them drink of the river of your pleasures, for with you is the spring of life. In your light, we will see light. The river of your pleasures, the abundance of your house, they shall be abundantly satisfied. That is a full cup, running over. That is a table on high ground. That is the mixture on the wound. All of it is the same thing, said 3 ways. There is more than enough, and it is for you, and the one who has it is not counting. And there was a night, David again, older now, out in a dry and waterless place, hunted, far from any table, when he lay down under the stars with none of this in front of him, and found that the cup was full anyway. Because the cup was never really the grass, or the water, or the safety. The cup was him. Listen now to the words from the book of Psalms, the 63rd chapter. God, you are my God. I will earnestly seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh longs for you in a dry and weary land where there is no water. So I have seen you in the sanctuary, watching your power and your glory. Because your loving kindness is better than life, my lips shall praise you. So I will bless you while I live. My soul shall be satisfied as with the richest food. My mouth shall praise you with joyful lips. When I remember you on my bed and think about you in the night watches, for you have been my help. I will rejoice in the shadow of your wings. When I remember you on my bed, that is you, dear one, right now, on your bed, in the night watches. 3,000 years ago, a man lay exactly where you are lying, in the dark, and turned his mind toward the shepherd, and found that it was better than water in a dry land. Better, he says, than life itself. My soul shall be satisfied as with the richest food. The Hebrew is fat and marrow, the best of the animal, the part kept for a feast. he is out in the wilderness with nothing, and his soul is eating marrow. Because satisfaction, it turns out, was never a thing the world hands you across a table. It is a person you remember in the dark. You have him tonight. The land may be dry, the table may not have come yet, and the cup is still running over, because the cup is him, and he is here, in the night watches, on your bed, now. Listen now to the words from the book of Isaiah, the 25th chapter. In this mountain, Yahweh of armies will make all peoples a feast of choice meat, a feast of choice wines, of choice meat full of marrow, of well-refined choice wines. He has swallowed up death forever. The Lord Yahweh will wipe away tears from all faces. He will wipe away tears from all faces. The tears he kept in the bottle, the ones from the valley, the ones nobody saw. There is a day coming, on a mountain, at a table, when the same hands that smeared the oil on your head will reach up and wipe your face dry, one cheek at a time, and there will be a feast, and there will be no fly, and no valley, and no more of any of it, forever. But that is not tonight either, though it is closer than the valley made it feel. Tonight there is a table on the high ground, and cool grass, and a cup poured past its rim, and the tormenting thing has stopped, because the hands have covered it. The flock is grazing in the last of the light, with the enemies at the tree line, and not one sheep is watching the tree line, because one is, and that is enough. Lower your head, let him cover it. Be still. Part 8. Goodness behind you, and a house you never leave. Psalm 23:6. Surely goodness and loving kindness shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in Yahweh's house forever. The day is ending on the high country. The sun is going down over the far mountains, the way it went down over the hills at the very beginning, a long time ago now, when we first stood on a slope and watched a flock come home. The light turns gold, and then rose, and then gray. The flock has fed all day on the tableland. They are full, they are calm. The tormenting flies are gone, because their heads were covered. The enemies kept their distance, because he stood between. And now, as the cool comes down, the shepherd gathers them, and he leads them home, to a fold, another one, up here on the high ground, a ring of stones, rough, stacked by hand, thorn along the top, and an opening in the wall, with no gate. You know this place. We began here. Listen now to the words from the book of Psalms, the 23rd chapter, the last line. Surely goodness and loving kindness shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in Yahweh's house forever. Surely. The song does not end on a maybe. It does not trail off into hope. After the green pastures and the still water, after the dark valley and the 2 pieces of wood, after the table and the oil and the overflowing cup, the man who wrote this reaches the end and puts down one word like a stone laid on top of a wall. Surely. Of this I am certain. And here is the thing he is certain of. Goodness and loving kindness shall follow me. Follow. Behind him. All this time we have been watching the shepherd walk in front, leading, going first into the valley, up onto the tableland ahead of the flock, in front, always in front. And now David turns, at the end, and looks back over his own life, and he sees that something has been walking behind him too. Two things, the whole way: goodness and loving kindness. The Hebrew word is hesed, the loyal, covenant love of God, the love that has made a promise and will not break it. Those two have been following him all the days of his life. Every day, not the good days only, the valley days, the cast-down days, the days he wandered off one mouthful at a time and had to be carried back, following the whole way. Dear one, turn around for a moment, not with your body, lie still. Turn around inside and look back down the road you came in on. You have been so busy watching the path ahead, afraid of it, scanning it for what might go wrong. But look behind you now, at the days you have already walked. Do you see it? The way you were provided for, often, and did not notice until later. The way you were kept from things. The way you came through valleys you were certain would be the end of you, and here you are, still walking. That was not luck, dear one. That was two things following close behind you, every single day, with a shepherd's promise holding them there. Goodness and mercy, all the days. Even this one, even today, which you may have thought was empty of both. Breathe now, in and out, all the way out. And the last words of the song, I will dwell in Yahweh's house forever. The sheep goes into the fold at night, and in the morning it comes out again, to the pasture, and back to the fold at dusk, and out again, a life measured in goings out and comings in. But David reaches, at the very end, for something past that rhythm. Not a fold he leaves each morning, a house, a dwelling, forever. A place where the going out finally stops, where you are not led through one more valley in the morning, where the last table is set and never cleared, where you are home and you stay. That is where all of this has been going, dear one. The whole psalm, the whole flock, the whole long walk of your life. It has been going home. And the shepherd who has walked in front of you the entire way is not leading you in a circle. He is leading you to a door you will go through once and never come back out of, because you will not want to, because he will be inside it. And at the very end of the whole book of God, there is a picture of that house and of who is waiting in it, and it turns the psalm inside out in the most beautiful way. Because the one on the throne, the Lamb, the sacrificed one, the sheep, turns out to be the shepherd after all. Listen now to the words from the book of Revelation, the 7th chapter. These are those who came out of the great suffering. They washed their robes and made them white. Therefore they are before the throne of God, and they serve him day and night in his temple. They will never be hungry or thirsty anymore. The sun won't beat on them, nor any heat, for the Lamb who is in the middle of the throne shepherds them and leads them to springs of waters of life, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. The Lamb shepherds them. Do you see it, dear one? All the way back at the still water, the sheep were afraid of the moving river, and the shepherd made a quiet pool. And here, at the end of everything, the Lamb leads them to springs of living water, and there is no fear left in it, and the thirst is over forever. They will never be hungry or thirsty anymore. Every green pasture you were led to in this life was a small rehearsal of that. Every still pool, every table on the high ground, they were all pointing here, to a country with no valley in it, to a fold you never leave in the morning. And God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There it is again, the tears. The ones he caught in the bottle down in the valley, the ones nobody saw, the ones you thought were wasted. He kept every one, and he kept them for this, so that on that day, with his own hand, the hand that carried the rod and the crook, he could wipe your face dry, and you would never need to cry again. That is the house you will dwell in forever. That is where the shepherd is taking you, not tonight, but every night you sleep in his keeping is one night nearer to it. Listen now to the words from the book of Psalms, the 8th chapter. Yahweh, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have ordained, what is man, that you think of him, the Son of Man, that you care for him? Look up now, dear one. The stars are coming out over the high country. One, and then another, and then more than you could ever count, spilled across the whole dark sky from one edge to the other. The same one who set every one of those in place, who ordained the moon and hung the stars with his fingers, knows the name of one tired sheep in a stone fold on a hillside. That is the wonder the psalm is asking you to feel. Not that God is big. You knew he was big, that he is big, and he bends down, that the hand that scattered the stars is the hand that smeared oil on your head and rubbed the life back into your legs and lay down across the doorway so you could sleep. What is man that you think of him? And the whole answer to that question is a shepherd lying in a gap in a wall, awake under those same stars because of you. Listen now to the words from the book of Psalms, the 139th chapter. Where could I go from your spirit, or where could I flee from your presence? If I ascend up into heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, behold, you are there. If I say, surely the darkness will overwhelm me, the light around me will be night. Even the darkness doesn't hide from you, but the night shines as the day. The darkness is like light to you. The darkness is like light to you. Do you hear what that means for the hours ahead, dear one? The dark that is coming down over you now is not dark to him. He does not lose sight of you when the light goes. He does not need the morning to find you. The night that feels to you like a thing to get through is, to him, as bright as noon. He is watching you fall asleep as clearly as he watched you wake. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. There is no place low enough to fall that is outside the fold. You could not get away from his care tonight if you tried. So let the day be over now. All of it. The flock is in the fold. The last of them has passed through the gap in the wall and folded its legs into the dust, warm against the others. The counting is done. Everyone is in. Not one is missing. Not tonight. You are not missing. You are inside, in the warm dark, with the wall around you and the stars above. And the shepherd walks to the opening in the stones, and he looks out once over the dark hills, at the tree line, at the country you came through, and then he lies down, right there, across the gap, his back against the cold stone on one side, his feet against the cold stone on the other, his body filling the only way in. Nothing crosses him tonight. Nothing. He is the door. He was always the door. And he will not sleep, dear one. Not tonight. Not any night. He who keeps you will not slumber. He will lie there in the doorway with his eyes open, through all the hours you cannot keep watch over. The hour at 2, the hour at 4, every hour between now and the light, so that you do not have to. Your rest is the shape of his sleeplessness. Your sleep is built on his watching. That is the whole of it. That was always the whole of it. He does not sleep, so that you can. So sleep. Let it come. Do not reach for it. Do not do anything at all. You are a small, warm thing in the dark, behind a wall, with someone awake in the doorway who knows your name and has never once lost anything he was given. Listen now to the last words from the book of Psalms, the 4th chapter. In peace I will both lay myself down and sleep, for you, Yahweh, alone, make me live in safety. In peace I will lie down and sleep. For you alone, Yahweh, make me dwell in safety. Yahweh is my shepherd. I shall lack nothing. Goodness and mercy are behind you. The house is ahead of you. The door is filled, and the one in the doorway is awake. Sleep now, dear one. You are home. You are kept. You are his. Good night.